What I do in my personal shop is I finish it up to a 220 grit on the machine, jump back to a 150 grit random orbital, 180 grit random orbital, then a 220 grit random orbital. The reason I jump back to a 150 grit random orbital is because on our machine we use an open coat cloth back abrasive. When I jump from the open coat cloth back abrasive to a closed coat on a random orbital, you've got to jump back one grit size to compensate for the performance. And since I'm jumping from a cloth back abrasive to either a Velcro back or a paper back abrasive, I've got to jump back one more grit size for optimal performance. If you're changing two aspects, open coat to closed coat, cloth back to another backing of the abrasive, jumping back two grit sizes is going to be optimal performance. You can jump back one grit size, say from the 220 grit on the machine to a 180 grit random orbital, and spend just a little more time on that 180 grit random orbital to break up that inline scratch pattern and finish it off with a 220. You see, all of our drum sanders will leave a scratch pattern in the surface of your material. As your drum zigzags back and forth, it's going to leave the zigzag scratch pattern in the surface of your material. If you have a non-oscillating drum sander, it's going to leave an inline scratch pattern that is going to be straight and narrow all the way down your board. The benefit of the oscillating drum sander is it does oscillate. And if you're running something like a raised panel door where you have rails and your centerpiece that are in line with your grain, but your stiles are always going to be cross grain. It zigzags across that cross grain and is a lot easier to hide after the drum sander with your random orbital.